All right, so let's go ahead. I gotta get this configured. So we will go ahead and get everything started here. Let's see who we got. All right, we got three folks on here. Okay, I think we'll probably get more people jumping on, but welcome. And I know it's been a while for me to host. I think it's been since like mid October. Unfortunately, I have I've been pretty busy, taking on a lot of projects. I've been traveling for one client. Just came back from North Carolina last weekend for a barrel racing rodeo, so that was pretty interesting. So it was kind of a eye opener doing technology within a industry that is much needed. So, hopefully with some of these questions, I can be able to help when it comes to shaping from personal experiences. But at the end of the day, what it comes down to is what PMI wants you to know and what you have to be able to answer. So, all right, so we'll go ahead and kick this off. Okay, we're gonna have to pause real quick because I just realized that we have it set up for just taking a quiz, which we don't want to do. So I'm going to end this real quick. Stand by. I'm sorry about this. 1 second. So I'm going to have to end this, and then we're going to come back in because I need to create this where we can go through each question. So let me end this real quick, and then we're going to start back it up. 1 second. All right, stand by. Let me exit out, and I just remember I realized we have to do this by the quiz, and so Um, okay, we got to jump back in. I'm sorry about this. So if you're in the group here, this is going to be the link and the code number. So we will get the three back on. I'm sorry about this, and then we can start. Now we're not going to be going over all 25 questions. It's just going to be 1 through 10. But this is what we had set up last time. So I just realized if we do a live quiz, it's going to go through all the questions in itself. So, but once we have all everyone on board, I'll go ahead and hit start next. And Jr. I apologize. I know you already had extra points for logging in early. So Okay. So, all right. So we'll go over the question here. A product manager is delivering a presentation on agile methodologies during a meeting with the senior project stakeholders. During the sessions, one of the participants inquires about the primary advantages of implementing agile approaches in a project. In response, a project manager alludes that adhering to agile principles throughout the project execution aids in the early and a frequent identification of challenges, providing increased chances and flexibility to resolve issues before they escalate into more significant complications. What is the primary advantages of implementing agile methodologies in a project, as explained by the product manager during a meeting with senior project stakeholders? Okay, let's see what everyone got here. So, all right, so we got 1 out of 2 here. I was hoping that JR would jump back on, and I will drop this into the chat group here, so that way, um, you have it available, to be able to log into this one here. So, all right, let's go through this real quick and, go through the explanation. So the answer was to conduct iterative development with introspective. So primarily what we want to be able to do is train the senior stakeholders in an environment that maybe they may be used to a waterfall approach, and that's what you're going to be ultimately doing is providing that understanding of what it is for that those stakeholders to grasp the agile framework. And so when it comes to, of course, like in the software development world, we have to be an agile because we were briefing our client today. We were onboarding a new client on a software build, and one of the things that we had to mention to him is that we could give him an MVP budget, but we weren't able to give him an overall budget of the project as from start to finish because in an iterative and agile framework compared to a predictive waterfall, our budget isn't going to be fixed. And we can give a baseline, but otherwise, normally you would want to be able to provide what is the upfront of a minimal valuable product versus what the definition of done of that application or software that you're building. Okay, next question here. All right, so your team has been dedicated dedicating an unusual extensive amount of time to engage in discussion and disagreements during meetings. To address this issue, you organized team training sessions, focus on enhancing meeting disciplines and active listening skills, which documents need revision to incorporate an updated team conduct standard. I gotta give some of the answer if you hadn't answered it yet. But okay, so all right, let's look at the answer. Of course, is the team charter. So with the team charter, and I think, oh, oh, sorry, I accidentally hit a hit a weird button here. So I don't know what that button does. Forgive me. JR, return to lesson. Sorry about that. All right. So with this here, the team charter pretty much lays out the ground rules of what you expect the team to be able to do. So anything that happens in the PMI exam, that's really where you're going to always anything that has to do with a team and any standard operating procedures or rules or regulations that people have to follow. It's going to go back to the team charter, and that's where you're going to be able to find. That's usually going to be your answer within the exam. Okay, a recently concluded project ended up costing more and taking longer than originally planned. Following a root cause analysis, it was identified that the cost of maintaining quality standards went beyond what was deemed optimal. It appears that the quality management plan involved extensive and highly expensive testing to ensure that there were no defects in the product. What measures could have been taken to avoid this scenario? Okay, yeah, sorry, this one was a little fast here. So, um, let's go ahead and we will look. So, the answer was conduct a benefit analysis beforehand might have prevented this situation. So let's look at the answers in question. So performing a sensitivity analysis could have helped prevent this situation. No, not necessarily. A more thorough stakeholder analysis, not necessarily because your stakeholder is not going to determine. Oh, I just lost my desktop here. One second, I just lost my desktop. Um, I have to go back to my computer here. Looking at my computer. So oh, I got kicked off. That's why. I know why. Okay. So with this here, and I'm gonna have to look at my computer screen over here. So with this here, conducting a cost benefit analysis beforehand might have prevented this situation. So really, when it comes down to when it comes to anything with the budget, of course, a cost benefit analysis is going to determine exactly is the return on investment worth going over budget or scope creep, whatever the case may be, that might have caused this scenario to happen. But in other ways, though, incorporating a SWOT analysis of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats into the planning process could have prevented measures in this. It could help, but overall, like I said, conducting a cost benefit analysis of determining whether or not that this was going to be the right way to go forward. So, um, and I know I lost my I have a screen on my um, platform and I lost the connection, which is fine. All right, I'm going to move. Okay, question number three. As a project is in the process of sourcing a set of products that will be developed concurrently with the project itself. It's essential that a single supplier passes the capability to the manufacturer for these products and offer services to support the project team while they work on various other components. What is a recommended approach to effectively oversee the quality of the ongoing procurement requirement? Okay, let's check this out. So it looks like two out of three got this right. So establish a collaborative partnership with the seller to foster a cooperation and develop enduring solutions together. So pretty much what this is saying here is just kind of being a working together. And that's the thing when PMI with the PMI test, anything that has to do with team collaboration or working together, that's always going to be the answer. We can take a look at some of the other answers here and determine. Let's see here. Mandate that the seller provides early deliveries. No, you don't want to pressure the seller to do anything drastic. Minimize the quantity of the metrics to enhance. No, you don't want to adjust the project or the way that you measure success just to meet standardization or goals, and hence enhance the quality of standards at different project stages. No, you don't want to do that because then your standardization going across the board may differ from what each stage is, and it's going to cause a disrupt in how you look at a project from an over and a high level view. And then if you standardize different stages, people can be getting things wrong at one stage versus another rather than standardizing it across the board. So, okay, next up here. Okay, so the city has secured funding for the revelation of an existing park, necessitating its closure for a year. The project has now advanced into the execution phase with heavy equipment on site and construction underway. The city's mayor contacts the project manager to address the issues of homeless individuals where illegal residents illegally residing in the park. Upon reviewing the stakeholder register, the project manager realizes that the homeless population was not previously identified as stakeholders. What should you do as a project manager next? I think we lost Mike. Oh, there he is. Okay. All right, let's check out the results here. So, okay, so we had one answer was amend the project charter to incorporate the homeless population. So you don't want to amend the project charter because the project charter is already set. It's already approved by the committee or the project sponsor or the product owner. So you don't want to amend the project charter. Now, the project charter can be a living document and things that will change as the project progresses. But ultimately, what you want to be able to do is conduct a stakeholder analysis first, and then determine in the stakeholder registry if you're going to make any changes to that. So ultimately, anything that happens on PMI's test, and granted, I took the test back in September. Anything that deals with review or analyze, those are always going to be your go-to question or go-to answers to be able to determine what the correct answer is. So but with this here, like I said, you always want to review and analyze the situation before you take any actions as a project manager. Evict the individuals experiencing homelessness from the park. That one, as project managers, we don't have that power. But two, that's just unethical. And then three, or number four, and neglect the presence of homeless individuals and continue with the project as originally scheduled. You don't want to do that. You want to be able to work with the city in order for them to be able to either rehome those homeless people or figuring out a system how to be able to work with the homeless population as a stakeholder and identifying ways to communicate with them. Okay. All right. Next up, the city had secured funding for the. Whoop, it looks like this is the same one here. I'm sorry about that. I thought I had that. We're going to skip this question here. All right. That was a freebie. Okay. As an agile team prepares to embark on the first iteration of a project aimed at developing a software application for a customer, the sponsor emphasizes the importance of close collaboration with the customer to enhance a project success. Which of the following actions should the project manager promote to align with the project with the sponsor's request? Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's see what the answers were here. So the scenario is here that you're using an agile framework and you're working with the customer to make sure that they are as informed as much as possible in this iteration of a software build. So the right answer is brace change in customer requirements, even if they emerge late in the product development stages. And so really what this is saying here is that as things happen, you have to be able to tailor yourself to changes that are going to happen, whether it's a new project sponsor, product owners, whatever the case may be. When there's possibly new stakeholders involved, you may not know, and so that's what this answer is here. And let's look at the other questions to answers. Engaging in negotiation with the customer to establish a comprehensive project agreement. So this is something that, based on this question here, the project's already well past the planning and is in the monitor and control stage. So you don't want to change anything drastically at this point. Mainly, what you want to be able to do is kind of tailor to or appease, I guess, to say to the client or the customer. And then the other answer that was answered, ensuring that both the customer and the team can maintain a consistent work pace indefinitely. So, of course, this is kind of subjective. Is it indefinitely just at the lifespan of the project? But understanding that in an agile framework, there's always going to be a start and finish to any project. So those are going to be the kind of the key words that you will look for in determining whether or right the answer is right or wrong. Oh, faffing is the wrong answer. Okay, let's look at this question here. You are overseeing a project consisting of four phases, and the deliverables for the current phase have received approval. What is the necessary steps before progressing to the subsequent phases? Okay, let me. I have to log into this one. I thought I was logged into it. I am not. Okay. All right. Let's check out the answers here. I'll do this on the break. I keep hitting the wrong one. Okay. Looks like nobody got this one. So let's go ahead and break down this question here. And my last my last courses, I had the slides to kind of explain. And I apologize, I didn't have them up because the ones weren't matching, and I wasn't able to fix it. So two people answer: conduct validation of the project deliverables completed in the current phase. So let's look at over this question again real quick. So you are overseeing a project consisting of four phases, and the deliverables in the current phase have received approval. So conduct validation of the project deliverables in the current phase. I can see where that is, but let's see if there's a better answer um, in determining. So the answer is assemble key stakeholders to evaluate the project's performance and decide on a go no go determination. So what this is telling you here is that you're pretty much doing a sprint review or a project approval within that phase before you go on to the next phase. So even though I do feel that the first answer could have been right, you have to look into a scenario base of saying, okay, well, where would I be able to make impact based on this phase or this sprint moving into the next iteration to make sure that all stakeholders, whether high level or just need to know, are at a point where they're comfortable moving onward to the next iteration or the next sprint. All right. All right, you're overseeing a project where the initial deliverables received correct feedback from the client, leading to the approval of change request. In which the project manager process group should you execute these approved change requests? And I'm going to try to log in because I have another screen where I can get the explanation. I had it written down, and so that way, kind of give you the more or less the book answer to some of these. Um, okay, okay, so the answer is the executing phase. So the executing is within the project management process group that actually tasks and work of the project are carried out. So after the planning stage, so the initiating stage, that's where you're going to gather all of your that's where you can gather all your project charter, a lot of other high-end documents, and then your planning stages is so for like a software build. That's where I put my user story, a lot of the research and development, the feasibility kind of the whatever project that I'm currently working on, and then from there, the execution stage. That's where the feedback has led to the approval changes. They would be executed during this phase. So as you go right into the execution phase, that's kind of more or less your that's your kickoff going into the actual project and starting it, and then you go into monitoring control. So if you remember the 5 stages, you have initiating, planning, executing, monitor control, and closing. And so when you think about a project, when you're taking the test, make sure you look at the question, figure out what stage you're in, and then you determine exactly if you are in agile or waterfall. And then from there, all you have to be able to determine is, okay, what is it asking me? Is it asking a business question? Is it asking a process or people question? And in this case here, this is going to be a process question. All right, we're going to do 2 more questions and then this will be it. So, all right, just with a few sprints remaining to finish the project, manager is apprehensive due to certain indicators that, oh, sorry, concerns that the project sponsor seeks to the assistance in addressing these warning signals. What is the primary reason behind the project manager's unease? Let me let my dog out here. Okay, let's take a look and see how everybody did here. Check the leaderboard. Good job, Stephanie. All right. So it looks like nobody got this one right. So let's look at the questions. So the right answer was the key stakeholders who are either unavailable or not adequately engaged. So when you take the exam, you want to be able to break down exactly what it's asking you here. So kind of the key words, the project manager communicates these concerns to the project sponsor. So the project sponsor is going to be the overall high level executive or investor of that project and seek sponsor assistance in addressing these warning signals. What is the primary reason behind the project manager's unease? And so, really, what it is that the project sponsor. So, I'm on a project right now, Saddle Fit project, and what we're doing in this project is doing reverse uh, engineering with 3D software. And so as I came back this past weekend, we were able to do kind of an on-ground analysis of how this system is going to work in person, but it also allowed me additional opportunity to bring on stakeholders that were kind of the feedback revenue for us while we were there on ground with the system and kind of explaining how everything works. And so fast forward, if whatever reason that these stakeholders have a key play in providing the feedback to me or to my client Seth, then it's ultimately going to come down to, if I don't have that, I'm going to want to be able to let him know, hey, we need some assistance on letting that know. So the answer explanation is: the project manager's unease is primarily due to the key stakeholders being unavailable or not adequately engaged. This can potentially impact a project performance, as stakeholders play a crucial role in decision making and providing necessary support to the project's success. So let's see the other answers here. The main ones that people answered was so frequent altercations in requirements and the emergence of new technology. So this wouldn't really necessarily cause the issues of a project manager's unease in any instance, because when you have other new emerging technology, before you do anything when it comes to change management, you just have to be able to analyze and assess the situation to ensure that, is it going to be an issue when it comes to a churn rate or something that's going to happen to the project or the program itself, that's going to cause a long-term effect. So those are just some things. And then the other answer that we had is a plethora of non-prioritized items in the project backlog. And so really this one isn't going to be, because at the end of the day, the project sponsor is ultimately in charge of the product backlog, and where he or she prioritizes it. And so so it's going to come down to the stakeholders and how are they involved. Now, when you do your stakeholder analysis, you have to determine exactly where they lie on that chart. And I wish I could pull something up just to kind of show something personally, like what we're working on. And I'm using a Figma board to identify those stakeholders from either very high level power and interest versus, you know, um, just keep informed, where they have very low power and very little interest. And then I have someone right in the middle for the saddle fit project. So it really determines, exactly how you engage with those stakeholders and what's that process look like. All right, so this is going to be the last question here. So we're going to do 10. I'm going to pick back the pace up, and we probably will take. I'll take a break during Christmas break, but we'll do one more next week, and then it's going to be, like I said, the 10 questions that I normally will do. So, okay, the control procurement process involves 8 inputs, which are procurement management plan and project documents. I don't know if this is a. Let me see here. Okay, what which of the following inputs are absent from the provided list? So these are your ITTOs. You're going to see these on the actual PM test. Now, it may not be in this format, but you are going to see questions that are similar to this. So, okay. All right. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at the explanation here. So the question list the inputs of the control procurement process and ask for the one that is not mentioned. So when you're procuring, so for right now in one of my projects, we're procuring hardware, a trailer, all these other devices, and all these intricacy or needed devices that we need for this product to work in person. And so the correct answer is approve change request. So let's look over the what currently is in the control procurement process. So project management plan, got it. Okay, so your project management plan is exactly how are you going to control that project from start to finish. Project documents, that could be everything though. Project documents can be pretty much anything that is considered document artifacts. Agreements, those are agreements that's between you and those vendors. Procurement documentation. So how are you going after those procurements? Are you doing bids? Are you just going? Are you doing a lottery? Whatever the case may be. Work performance data. So looking at, okay, well, if with this vendor, how's that performance versus this vendor? Enterprise and environmental factors. So that's really just anything that could happen, that natural cause disasters that could delay procurement process from happening, where it could pretty much stop your project from executing or moving forward. Enterprise, excuse me, organizational process assets. And so those are really internal to the organization, and how you have things that are available within your organization to be able to create those systems in order for you to procure. So even though you may be the project manager and you can buy these items, there's going to be a procedure that you're going to have to follow in order for you to execute and get that final approval, probably from the high management level within whatever organization you're working in. So, and the other ones that, let's see what the some of the project scope statement. So, in the project charter. So, like I said, with these here, when you're thinking about the control procurement plan, you just have to be able to envision, exactly where where that lies in the project process, or the stages, and then that's what's going to determine those answers. And so, all right, let me go ahead, trying to find. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and recap over today. So we were go over 10 questions, and like I said, we kind of covered waterfall and agile. But when you're studying for the PMP exam, and I can't stress it enough, is that the PMI study hall, when I took it, it was a huge game changer, because it allows you to get the right answers that are going to come on the test. You're going to have beginner, novice, intermediate, and expert questions. Never at any point in time during the test did I ever see that I had any expert questions. So some of these questions that I had on here that I go through are going to normally be difficult to, and I don't do any expert questions, because I just talking to people, and I don't know, it's been 2 months or 3 months since I've taken the exam, and it hasn't changed. And so, but as you get more involved into your study plans and understanding, and I don't know if you've seen my roadmap, I'll share that in the LinkedIn, but kind of my study group of where, when I started in June, and then moved all the way to September when I was taking the test. And there's positions available out there. I'm living proof. I literally, after 4 days, I submitted my Upwork freelance profile, and I've been freelancing right now, and I'm potentially going to move into a permanent position post Army once I retire, uh, with an endeavor that I'm currently working on with three different avenues right now. So the opportunities are there. You just got to be able to pretty much get after it. Once you get your PMP certification, don't be idle. If there's things that you got to be able to learn, then do it. And one of my uh, organizations that I'm working with, Cybernetics Global, I've brought on some PMP certified interns to be able to help shape, because they don't have an IT background. And so it really comes down to being able to give opportunities for anybody that isn't familiarized with the IT world, but understanding, I talk to people. I posted a question: is it required as a project manager to be technical in the IT industry? And overwhelmingly, I had, in one of the groups, I had an agile group that I'm in. Everyone said yes, but then there were some mixed reviews on some people in other groups that were project management specific to any industry. And so I wouldn't say that you have to be technical in the IT world, like a subject matter expert, but you have to at least know the baseline to be able to communicate with your team. So that way, if there's any impediments or any roadblocks, you can understand what resources that you need to have. And those are things that, from the resource management plan, how you scale that out, and how do you identify those issues when things do come up. So, um, if there's any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. But if you have any questions when you guys are going to be getting closer to taking, The exam, by all means, reach out to me. Like I said, every Thursday night I'll host these at 6 p.m. Uh, and if you don't have my app, so I do have an audio app that I used to study when I originally um, was moving into getting ready for the actual test. And I created an audio app for the mindset, and really that's what all it is with PMI, and the PMP exam is that you have to put yourself into mindset, because a lot of the questions, a lot of the reading and the test itself is very mundane. Like I mentioned, I've literally had about an hour and 20 minutes left, and I flew through it. And I thought I was going too slow, and I flew through it. So, it's a matter of you being able to process what it's asking you, and then pretty much eliminating it. As I mentioned before, it's not, when you look at a question, either you know it, you don't know it, or you possibly know it, and either that's going to determine you're going to answer it within a matter of seconds, you're going to skip, or you're going to mark and answer the best of your ability, and then try to go back and then answer it. So, really, it's just it takes practice. You really have to hone in your timing. It's a very long test, 4 hours, and it's broken into segments, 3 segments, 60 questions. You have a 10-minute break in between. And unfortunately, now, it's a 24 to 48-hour wait for your results. When I took it, I was the last class to our last segment to get the results after I took it. So it's kind of nerve wracking, but unfortunately, that's the way that they're currently doing it now for PMI. But if anybody has any questions, like I said, I appreciate everyone's involvement here, coming on board. And this is really to help you progress in your career with the PMP certification. And I'm living proof, that with the certification, there are plenty of opportunities out there. It's just, how do you expand from the certification once you're in the door? So anyways, I appreciate everyone's time. And like I said, just reach out to me at any point. I will post probably either tomorrow or Saturday for Thursday's next iteration, and we'll go over 10 questions the same way. And so I appreciate everyone's time, and hope you all have a good night.